now rocking with the best. Who's the boxing show that's knocking out the competition? The kick-ass podcast that make you want to listen. The place where boxing fans and fighters rejoice. Thumbs up for Richie, you're listening to the fighter's voice.
Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Fighter's Voice podcast radio show. We got a great show for you this evening. But before we get started, I want to thank our sponsors. And guess what? I got 3 of them. One of them's myself, Richard Ortiz. One of them's our producer, Mateo. Thank you, Mateo, for sponsoring us. And Sophia, who is our landlord with this studio. So I'm keeping it real and I'm thanking our 3 sponsors. Listen, tonight we got with us, I want to say Fresno's own, right? Because I'll never forget that. But now, lately, we want to say internationally known, global known, because we call him our own in Fresno, but I mean the man is just taking over. It's no longer Fresno. I'm just so grateful and thankful that we have an event coming back to Fresno in this man's hands. That's promoter Rick Mirigian. He's back at it again, not just with Top Rank, but now with DAZN, in collaboration with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing, bringing on a great show, because you know the fighters and the fans, they anticipate a great show every single time. They're spoiled. They no longer want the small shows. They want the coliseums. They want the energy. They want the big shows. And who better to bring it to us than Mr. Rick Mirigian? And we're going to talk about a date that's set, and that's October 16th, Fresno, California. But I want to get started by introducing our guest. Welcome to the show, promoter Rick Mirigian.
What's going on?
How you doing, man? How's today treating you? Because I know you're busy. I know you're doing things.
I mean, I'm stressed out. I have sleep deprivation. I have anxiety. But that's normal for me during a fight promotion. So I love it.
Rick, as you know, you put on a lot of shows, but why is this show different? Talk to us about October 16th, Chancey Park, headliner, 4-division world champion Mikey Garcia.
I think you started it off the right way. 4-division world champion. Last time we fought 55,000 people in Texas. Before that, selling the Staples Center out twice in a row. So, I mean, that's why it's special. For me, I wanted to, make a run at it. It was a tough decision, for Mikey at first. He could have fought in Texas. That was his option. And, I basically just told him what I could do, what my opinion was. And he knows a little bit about me from Robert and Jose and the guys in the gym. So, I got to thank him for giving me a chance to even handle something for him. And then, making a deal with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom was, an honor as well. Just having a chance to do something with them. They just did what I want to say the world's largest boxing event with 70-something thousand people for Canelo in Texas. And they just came off of another sold-out stadium with Usyk that we just saw. So you're talking about one of the world's largest, if not promoter that there is. So getting to work with someone like that in our town and bringing a fight like this, I mean, you got to give it all you got until the bell rings.
Batman had Ruben, Run had DMC, and now the collaboration of Eddie Hearn and Rick Mirigian taking over Fresno. I mean, that has a good ring to it. When you hear your name in the same sentence with such a powerful promoter, how does that make you feel deep down, Rick?
Look, it's just a blessing to have a chance to work with him. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's just like a fighter in a championship fight. I know I'm good and I know I'm capable, and I've already proven myself with the amount of fights that I've done. So, there's no lack of confidence with me. But yeah, of course, it's a blessing to have a chance to work with someone like that, just like it is Top Rank. So every time I'm given an opportunity, I don't think you see me waste one of them, and I've always, somehow, some way, pulled off a miracle. And this has been, not an easy situation. I mean, your life is a opportunity, and you have to find those opportunities. So this show needed to be promoted, and it only had 22 days effectively to market, find a location, promote, monetize, and I took that challenge on, and that was my opportunity. So, the opportunities, they don't come gift wrapped to you all the time the way you want. You've got to see one when someone else would turn away from it. You've got to make that yours, and that was an example of what this is.
Rick, you're like that standby fighter, man. That the other guy doesn't show up, the other guy didn't make weight, and you're just ready to go. Because usually you have X amount of time in numbers and to put together a great card. You were up against the ropes, and right now it's like you're working double to make this happen because it's just around the corner.
More like I'm working triple, but yeah, definitely. And we've done wonders already. The entire field is full. Every table sold. Some as high as $15,000 a table. Every suite gone. We're already in a good place, I think, and with the momentum coming and the other promotions that I have lined up. At the Fresno Fair, you're gonna see something special with Mark Castro that'll take place. Big media event. You'll see a press conference being done in a big way here, and some special surprises with that. So we're doing well, and then in Fresno fashion, like you saw with Jamel Herring, and I had the 300 Marine from Pendleton walking out, and him riding a Humvee to the ring. But we've got something that I know is going to make history with Mikey and his walkout that I've set up. So I can't wait for the boxing world to see that, and let alone the regular world. I know it's going to end up on Sports Center. I know news outlets will pick it up from the Associated Press, the CNN. Like, it's going to get that type of coverage because of what it is, and so I'm looking forward to that. That especially fight night.
When you know that the ball is rolling your way, when someone says, "No, Rick, we're not going to do that. That's not going to work." I mean, because you don't seem to listen to that. Whenever it's coming in with a Humvee, a tank, and I heard you went as far as you were even thinking of having him come down in a parachute. I was hearing different rumors about that fight with Jamel Herring.
The parachute was on the table, but you have to go through all the ideas and eliminate what you can, and there's no shortage of no's when you're doing an event like this. But I've had a lot of no's on this one, but just been able to fight through them, and at the end of the day, just perseverance just gets things done. But it does take its toll. So I'd be lying to you if I'm not exhausted at night or mentally shot throughout the week just from the amount of calls and emails and discussions, and there's a lot of double and triple checking people that just can't seem to read or listen or anything else, and they're just lazy in general. So when you're one person dealing with 100 different people, it takes its toll. And in this situation, there's got no choice. I've got my name on the line with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, my name with Mikey. I've got to perform, and it's just the way I look at it.
I know you've been waiting for your opportunity to work with Mikey, and once it was confirmed, once it was like, okay, Rick, we're going to roll with you. What was that conversation like to yourself? Like, oh, okay, now it's time to turn it on, Rick. Because I know you do talk to yourself, you motivate yourself, or you just start kicking ass right then and there.
That was it. You said it. I mean, just the time to flip the switch. As soon as I knew he gave me the opportunity, then just the switch got flipped, and I went right to work. And it's worked. We've got 5 big sponsors for the fight, all done in 20 days, including a casino, a beer distributor, big car outlet, not to mention the amount of sales that have taken place, with this fight. And, there's, unfortunately, where Mikey's at in between fights, this is not a Spence or something, so there's been some challenges with, things, and we've overcome those. Like, Mikey's big enough, and I can see that he has such a fan base in Northern California that there's an appetite to come and see him. And you don't know that until you get out there and take the risk of putting a fight here in Fresno and, promoting through this belt. And again, there's been no mainstream marketing done from Matchroom, meaning there's no TV spots, billboards, running radio campaigns. Like, this has been done more through the PR efforts regionally that I've been doing, social, those kind of things, getting our sponsors to market the fight, the beer distributor, activating to its outlets up and down the region to 1,800 stores. The casino, helping. This is about as grassroots and effort based as you can get to promote a fight. So you're seeing what you're seeing without the time, like you alluded to, of me getting 60 billboards, 3,000 TV spots, planning efficiently. So this is a real dogfight, you might say, from a promotional standpoint.
The Rick Mirigian template, you can't even put it in concrete because you don't know what you're going to maneuver, but you have it in your brain, in your heart, and just your drive, man. A lot of people, they want to know where in the hell do you get it from? I mean, from comments from Lee Samuels, from Evan. I mean, they just say the man doesn't sleep. So you've been waiting for this, anticipating the opportunity. The opportunity is here. Now, Rick, one thing you didn't mention is history in the making, because Fresno has never, ever hosted a 4-division world champion.
No, they haven't, let alone all the connections that there is with this fight to us. I mean, you have Jose Ramirez, that's his stablemate. Mikey's brother trains Jose. They're all from a farm working background, Mikey included, Jose, Robert, Big G. You have the Valley roots there that tie into, the current labor and drought issues that we're currently going through. So there's real symmetry on top of it being a rare situation to get someone like this to fight in our city. It's very rare. And where do I get it from? That's an easy answer. Very easy. Watching my mom as a young kid, she was a single mother that raised me, herself, watching her make reindeer out of, palm trees split in half by putting a red Christmas tree bulb on the nose and eyes glued on it and selling it at a yard sale, or going to the Sunnyside swap meets here in Fresno, with her every weekend, watching her hustle and make deals. That's where I learned how to make deals, the God's honest truth. Those swap meets, I bought and sold everything from clothes to baseball cards to you name it. And I'm talking about at an age as early as 4. So that's where that drive comes from, is 100% her. You see that, and, it leaves its lasting impressions on you. And she still yard sales to this day. She will still have a yard sale on the weekend. She will get up and go buy something for $2 and sell it for 10. And I'm not kidding when I say that. That
sounds like Rick Mirigian's mother. Enough said there. Now listen, we're not just getting Mikey. And we're going to go back and talk about Mikey's career in the next option for Mikey, if everything goes like we planned that October 16th. But we get with this. And this is one fight I'm very excited about. And that's Bam Rodriguez gets his opportunity to fight for a world title. And if successful, joins his brother, Joshua Franco, to become 2 brothers with 2 world titles.
Yeah, I look at it as they're the real Maloneys. Remember the Maloneys what the Maloneys were supposed to be? The Francos are that. This kid is unbelievable. And
Jason,
like his older brother, I do think he gets his strap that night. And look, Robert Garcia is so high on this kid. One of the best fighters that he's seen in a while. This kid has the ability to go through multiple weight classes as he gets older and win out. Like, he's a special one. So, yes, big fight. You're going to see the future of those, weight classes right on display in Fresno. And they're going to be like, I saw that kid in Fresno fight, because next you're going to see this kid fighting all over the world. He's that good. And then you have, the Mark Castro from Fresno, obviously one of the most highly touted amateurs, to sign and go pro in the last decade out of Fresno. He signed with Matchroom. So this is his homecoming. Went to Sunnyside High, born and raised in Fresno, was valedictorian there. So he's got a big crowd coming, without question. That's going to be loud and there to support him. So you have that bout on there. And look, these fights are going to start at 1:30 in the afternoon. So if you're a real fight fan, like, you probably have never seen this many bouts on a card ever. So you're definitely getting your money's worth Saturday, October 16th. Those fights will start at 1:30 in the afternoon.
That's a question.
Oh, we got a question? Oh, okay. What's it coming from?
From Jesus M. Why should Chansey Park and not Save Mart? And he wants to know if this is live.
What's live? The podcast? Yes. The podcast is live to answer this question. And the question's coming in from who? What's the guy's name?
Jesus M.
Jesus M asks a question. Why Chachansey Park and not Save Mart Center?
That's an easy answer. The ambiance in a baseball stadium when the weather's right, which the weather's perfect for us, it's second to none. The amount of things that you can do from a show standpoint, like massive fireworks, surprising the entire crowd by opening the center field wall and seeing what happens with a walkout that you can't do inside of an arena. It's just a different feeling, a different environment. And people have not got to experience many fights in a stadium or a stadium environment where we live ever. In fact, I was the first person to do one in this place with the Jamel Herring fight. So it's just another level of entertainment when you have a chance to do one in a stadium. You know, the lighting, the ambiance, it's an incredible atmosphere.
You know, Rick, I was there for the Jamel Herring, and there's nothing like being outdoors. You see the lights, the fireworks. You feel that bass in your chest. And there's not a bad seat in the house, but there's nothing like having that VIP table, man. I'm telling you. So fans want to know, are you completely sold out? Can they buy those tables? And if so, how do they get them?
So we've sold these tables out and the suite. So as of now, you just have to check back on my Instagram page or, with me posting if we added any. Every day I've been able to add one or two, with the box office. They've been able to, find sections to add a couple here or there. So tomorrow I'll do another check at the box office. And, if I'm able to add one or two, I will. And then I'll post it. And usually I'll have, 20 messages waiting for them. So if you got a table, you got lucky.
There you are.
Oh, another one.
We have another one, huh?
Samuel Torres.
Torres.
Can you ask him if he is excited to work with the future of boxing, Team Trouble?
Are you?
Yes, that's an interesting young man right there. Obviously, I've worked with Flores, who I made the youngest deal in the history of boxing for, with Top Rank. So, seeing another young man come across that's got talent, that's just a die-hard, live, eat, breathe, and sleep boxing, type of kid it's been neat to see. And then on top of that, he's making his rounds. He's constantly sparring and training with high-level guys from Devin Haney to Ruben Villa to, you name it. This young man is out there. So he's definitely someone that I've kept my eye on and, very close, and watching him continue to develop and continue to, put all of his effort into the sport. So there's no question that he's going to be a special kid when he turns pro. So you can bet on that.
And Mom was asking the question. Just came up right now.
Oh, and his mother was asking the question. It just came up right now.
You've got a special young man there, Mom.
Now, listen, we got some other questions coming in. So I'm going to pull some up right now, and I'm going to read them to you. So I'm just going to go random. Okay, Jamel Herring, WBO junior lightweight champion of the world. Ask Rick if he remembers our first meeting when Jose and I were roommates at the Olympic trials.
Of course I do. That's why I put that fight on for him, and he wasn't my fighter, and I was doing Top Rank's job at that time. And so the reason I did all that is because I do remember that, and I do remember him. And to be honest, he was probably the only person that Jose would tell me was like him, dedicated, focused, just a good human being, well-mannered, well-tempered, wasn't crazy, didn't party. And then as I got to know him and his background, the things that he's dealt with his daughter, I don't know if there's a finer ambassador out there for us than him. It's like you watch his fights and he's always an underdog, and you just root your ass off for him. Like, you can't help but want him to win, and he wins because he just has that, that X factor in him. And a lot of people, they call me and they make comments about, Stevenson and his fight coming up, and I tell them all the same thing. You just have no idea what a Marine does with his back up against the wall. And it sounds like a cliche to tell somebody, but it's truly the right analogy for him in any of these world title fights that he's in. You are going to have to kill him in there in order to beat him. And he's not going to make mistakes. He's a calculated, skillful guy. So just a very special fighter out there. And I've been lucky to, work with him and just watch him over the years. I grew up with that class of fighters, Jose, Jamel, Spence, like all those guys I came up with. So it's even more special for me, seeing him win all these world titles, beat all these guys that everyone says he can't. I love it. I mean, it couldn't have happened to a better human being than him. And he's getting paid a shitload of money on this fight, and he deserves every penny of it for what he's been through.
Yes, he does. And let's add that the man's always walking around in fight shape. I mean, the man is shredded all the time. He's always ready to go.
Yeah, he definitely has some alien genetics there. I've never even seen him with nothing less than a 40-pack.
You're not exaggerating at all, one bit. Let me see. I have one more for it. No, I got a couple more. Let me see what we have here for you. Who's this here? Eric from Dog Boxer. Tell him a huge thank you, as always. Amazing shows, bringing the best boxing to the Central Valley, Northern California, and now worldwide.
Eric's a real fight fan. I've known him for a while. There's not a fight that he doesn't know about, go to, especially in our region. Like, that's a real fight fan. I think he's been to most every fight that I've done, or from Stockton or Fresno from way back. So, he's definitely a real fight person.
Yes, he is. Let me see, who else do we have? Okay. Brad Goodman from Top Rank. He's one hell of a manager, agent, hardest worker in boxing, and looking forward to seeing him October 16th. And I will add, Brad's making the trip down there to not only watch but support but embrace Mikey Garcia, as well as the fans, followers, and supporters of Fresno, California.
That's incredible.
It really is.
This is coming from a legend who has cussed me out, thrown me out of his office, and I've just been in some wars with. But he's one of the most honest, trustworthy, and best at what he does in the sport. Like, he's a guaranteed first ballot Hall of Fame matchmaker. The engine at Top Rank functions because of him. That's just the God's honest truth. That he is that engine that keeps these fighters matched, keeps talent flowing in, and he doesn't stop. So that's definitely an honor coming from him. Trust me.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. You told me that a while back ago about Brad. Let me see who else we have here.
I love people that just, are not candy-coated. He'll tell you if he's happy, he'll tell you if he's sad, and he'll tell you exactly what he's feeling. And that's what every one of my friends I grew up with does. And you have to respect that about somebody.
Absolutely. Let's see, we have okay. From Virgil Ortiz Sr. He goes, ask Rick, is Senior getting a raise? And he says, you know what? He's the manager, and his goal. Okay, what is your goal as a manager, and what do you see Virgil doing in the near future?
Geez, this is a serious answer. So first of all, that's El Jefe. That's Virgil's dad and that's the boss. So I work for them. But my honest, just straightforward answer is Virgil is the face of boxing. Period. Moving forward, he's our next Canelo that can move through all of the higher weight classes and be a world champion at each of them. He's so young. He's so vibrant. This is a young man with a personality of gold, meaning you would never guess someone that hits that hard, speaks that soft, and plays a guitar. Like, it's like that Jose Ramirez parallel where you would just never imagine the ferocity from someone like that, who's just so well balanced outside of the ring and caring, gentle, artistic, just, it's incredible. But look, that is the future 100% of boxing. Not the Ryan Garcias, no offense to him. He's a genius marketer, and you have to look at Garcia and have nothing but respect and applaud him for what he's done. But Ortiz is a real fighter, and you can bank your promotional company on Ortiz moving forward. and he's just got the 360-degree package. He's got the right team behind him. His dad keeps him, grounded. Keeps him focused, training. Not that he needs it; it's in him anyway. But his dad's, constantly watching him. This kid is the future of boxing, period. And there's not a single person that can provide an argument against that would call in right now. At his age, with his record and his talent and his opponent roster he's already fought, it's incredible. In fact, after Mean Machine and him fought, I went over to Mean Machine to shake his hand and his manager, Aegis. Mean Machine put his arm around me and said, Rick, you have the face of boxing right there that you manage. And he goes, I should know, Rick. He goes, I've fought the best. He goes, I've been in there with the best. He goes, Virgil is the best. And he fought Crawford and everybody else. Mean Machine said nothing but the greatest praise you can imagine about Ortiz. That kind of respect I have not heard a fighter say after a fight about anyone. Now, I've seen fighters be respectful, and I've seen them be appreciative, and I've seen them congratulate the other one. But to flat out say these things after a fight like that, I mean, that's incredible. So mark my words, Virgil Ortiz becomes the face of our sport, and rightfully so, because he can carry it in and out of the ring without question, and I think he'll fill Cowboy Stadium, a few times. And look, he's got Canelo's respect. I mean, after the fight in Texas last time, his dad's like smiling at me. He goes, "Oh, that was Canelo that just called him right now." Canelo called him right when we went to the locker room. So, that's huge. Canelo calling him and staying up on him and that kind of thing. That
says a lot.
You see that once every 30 years in boxing with that young man. Trust me.
No, I agree with you. He is definitely a talent.
Sometimes, no matter how good you are, you have to be lucky. And me, I got lucky. Like, them giving me the opportunity that they did, I got lucky, and I'm grateful for it. And I tell them that after every fight. Like, just to be able to work and do the stuff I've done for him, I mean, it's just, I'm telling you, special one.
Yes, he is. We're going to go by this one. Okay. This is coming from Sean Gibbons. He says, tell Rick, first of all, wow, I'm a huge fan of Rick. He has brought pride and recognition to the Central Valley as well as the world. Please let him know if I was an upcoming fighter, I would sign with Rick M., the best manager in the game. Viva fucking Rick.
So, funny story with him. The first time I met him, I had not put on a fight. I had not done anything. Matter of fact, I think it was Tattoo Palace I was doing an event at, and he was there in a working role for Top Rank at the time. He treated me like I was Bob Arum. Like, I couldn't understand why he was treating me with such respect and so good. But that's who that is. Like, he's the definition of, as you treat someone in the beginning, they're going to grow and end up somewhere, and you treat everybody with respect and so forth. That's him. And look, let's be honest. I want to be him. He's the Ray Donovan of boxing, if you know Ray Donovan. This is a guy that gets anything done, knows everybody. You're going to see him in the Philippines, then you're going to see him in Texas. You're going to see him with Manny Pacquiao, then you're going to see him with Chavez Jr. He does everything and every aspect of the sport, from being a boxer to managing to promoting to organizing. I mean, this is an incredible, person. But, I think the most incredible thing about him is he just treats everybody with the same, that respect, unless you cross him, of course, like anyone. But I mean, he treated me from day one when I hadn't done anything, like he does now. And like he does the janitor or the CEO. So, coming from him, I mean, that's another compliment. I mean, that's a huge compliment coming from him. But trust me, he just got done handling Pacquiao's, last 3 big fights and working with Pacquiao's promotional company. I mean, that's the dream right there. So And that's it. And that's the dream. He's done everything you can do in the sport of boxing. There's nothing he hasn't done.
I will add that he is a class act. He does all the above and still manages to be good to people. Still manages to go out of his way for people.
Richard, he could be with Manny Pacquiao in the Philippines while Manny's getting accepted as president. Then while Manny's getting ready to fight, and he still will remember you in Fresno and reach out to you and text you while doing all of that at the highest level. That's why I'm telling you he's a different breed. Like, people don't do that in this day and age. You know, he will take the time out to remember the littlest thing at the busiest moment, you know. I'm not kidding. That you won't find that again.
You don't have to convince me, brother. I mean, believe me, he's done so much for me just being there, his kind words, his gestures, and just continues to surprise and knock my socks off every single time, man. I mean, he's definitely a class act and one in a million.
Agreed.
So let me see what we got next coming here. Who's this from? Okay. Oh, this is a good question. From Frank Estea from Top Rank. Ask him which fighter could really use his representation right now, and what would you do to further his or her career?
He would give me that tough trick question that I got to just throw out there. Man, that's a tough one. There's probably a few guys that I would want to do that with. Problem is, I can't say a few of them because they already have managers. But
Sure.
If I had to pick a guy just right now, that I'd say Mikey Garcia, hands down. Mikey Garcia.
Hey, there's no argument there. And what else does he add? Ask. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, he knows you pretty well. He said, ask him, besides a big booty, what is his weakness?
A slot machine.
There you go.
That's it. Those
That-
two things are death combined.
Yes, they are. And that with a smile is just, yeah, you're asking yourself to put a harness around your neck and jump.
I don't know about the harness around my neck, but
Well, with the, you know what I'm
I get
talking
it,
about. Yes.
stuck that in there. You know, I wasn't going to let that one slide.
There you go. Let me see what we have here. Is somebody asking a question live?
Yes.
They are?
Yes.
Why is the tone? Keep it real. Rick can handle that. What does it say and who's it from?
Gary Logan's.
Gary Logan.
Why is Mikey Garcia fighting such a no-name opponent?
Okay. Why this is the guy that knows a lot about boxing. Why is Mikey Garcia fighting such a no-name opponent?
The same reason that 9 other multi-division world champions have to fight a guy like this in between fights. I'm sure you can pull up a box rec on just about any of them, and you're going to see a couple on there that fit the bill. You know, Mikey's getting ready to go into some of the sport's most elusive and biggest fights that there is. So, you know, this opponent is not as bad as you may think either, just because you haven't heard of him. But that's a simple answer to that question. You know, you just don't run in there and jump in with another Spence, a Prograis, some of those things. You know, you with the delays and the time off and the COVID situations, and then, you know, just the environment that we're in the sport period. So, you know, again, we're talking about a guy that fills a stadium, and how many of those are in the sport right now? 4, maybe. Canelo, Pacquiao, he's done. Mayweather, he's done. So he doesn't count. We have Canelo, Fury. Who else?
Our heavyweight just got beat. You know, that brings him in as well. Yeah.
Like I said, there's about probably 4 to 6 of them. But that's it. So
Yeah.
Mikey's one of them. So you have to be very careful, you know, with your career and being prepared properly when going into these massive, you know, competitive fights that are the top of the sport. So, I mean, that's definitely why.
That answers that. Is there any more coming in from there? Who else we got?
Rick V says, hey, ask Rick if he needs a bodyguard, DJ, cook, driver, or bad boy. It's a joke. I've been asking him that for a while.
From Rick V.
Tell him I do all that stuff myself, like everything else, you know, for an event or anything else that I do. So I definitely know how to cook, and I cook very well. And So most of that stuff I definitely would do myself. And the reason why is because I want it to get done right. That's the compulsive disorder I have. Like, I'm very hard to delegate stuff with. You know, I can't. There's a high level of trust I don't have for something getting done the way that I want, as fast as I want, at the capacity I want, and the effort level I want. So that's the reason why I don't work well with a lot of people under or down the food chain. You know, usually I deal fine with people, you know, at the top of the food chain because they have similar personalities. But that's probably one of the faults I may have, is that, you know, I don't get along too well down the trough, you know, with people. And it's not because I dislike them. It's just there's a certain work ethic and a certain approach to things that I have. And that's, look, everything is critical. Everything is life-changing, and everything is a priority, you know, when I'm doing an event, especially, you know, on 21 days notice or if Jose's involved or anything. So, I mean, that's the problem, if I have a problem that, you know, exists.
Right on. Let me see. I know there's one there. I saw one earlier from the genius himself. Okay, I'm going to pull him up. Here are we. When I say genius, I'm talking about Hall of Fame genius. And you may know where I'm going with this. I mean, the guy, every question that he asks or every time he comes something, okay, I'm going to go ahead and read it right here. It says, well, he says, Rick used to, every question that I have coming from this man right here, and this is Hall of Famer Lee Samuels. And of course, he's letting me know. He says, yeah, Rick started off with concerts, working upcoming boxing live events. And here's another question that he has. That was a comment. He says, how many fighters does Rick have? How many does he promote? What's the final count on his roster? And who's his next big breakout star?
Look, I've got 13 amazing fighters now. And, you know, I get so many emails and calls. I mean, daily I've got, you know, 3 to 5 requests to sign guys. I got one today, and I can't tell you his name, that I'm excited about and honored that I'll be working with soon. I'm actually going to do a management agreement with him and talk to him today, but I can't tell you his name right now. But there is one that I'm doing that with. But I have 13 guys.
Can you tell me what division he's in?
All of them important, and I think the breakout star, I mean, you know, just is Virgil. Like, that's the young, hungry one that I think just breaks out and just blows everybody's mind with where he's going.
And he says, okay, he says, there's a Fresno sports anchor I am thinking about. He has covered all of Jose's fights. Then he was hospitalized for a little while, but he's still doing his best to continue to move forward, and he's one of Jose's biggest supporters, and that's Bud Elliott. He just wanted you to know that.
Yeah, he's a fine human being. I've known him since I was very young, watched him growing up on the news channels, and he has followed Jose's entire career, traveled, done everything. Very fine human being, like Lee Samuels. Those are just good human beings. I don't have 1/10 of the human being factor that those guys do. Literally, I don't have 1/10 of the people that they are. Those are amazing people in general.
Rick, when's the promoter's hat turned off? I mean, when do you just get to do? I mean, during this time, of course, you got to eat, you got to survive, you got to sleep.
Never turned off. If there's a can of soup on my countertop, I'm gonna make that can of soup the best can of soup you've ever seen in your life. I'm gonna talk about that can of soup like it's dropped from heaven. So, and I mean that, I never stop promoting. I don't care if it's a can of soup, a fighter, a concert, a promoter, the parking stall that I'm going to pull up to and park into. Just the thought process there is you take what's available and you make it as good as you possibly can at all costs. And that's the mentality of everything I look at. Literally, everything that I look at.
Do we got another live question?
We have
Lots of them? Like, how many do we got coming in? Just so I can let them know. We can't get all of them, but we'll tackle the one.
I'll stay on the phone if you need to.
Okay.
I blocked off a couple hours, so it's up to you.
Okay. Shoot away.
I don't get back to you as often as I should, so I owe you anyways.
Okay, this is a comment and a question from
Okay.
Santeo.
Santeo? Santel Media.
Rick deserves all the good things happening to him. He worked so hard for Jose Ramirez, and that earned him a bunch of new talent. I know he has a lot of fighters, but can you tell us what's up next for Ruben Villa, Brian Lua, and Mateo Rodriguez?
Did you hear those three names?
Yeah, so Ruben Villa, working with right now as we speak, planning his stuff out. I think we see Ruben fight in December again, if not, January for sure. So Ruben's a special talent as well. He won 6 of those rounds against Navarrete. If the knockdown doesn't take place, he wins half the fight. So, Ruben's no question going to win a world title in his time. And he's a competitor. He took all of that, got up and won 6 rounds. How many guys do you know that could do that? Definitely. Brian Lua, so I don't manage Brian. I do care about Brian, though, because he's from Fresno.
Yeah.
And I've watched him grow up and everything else. So I can't tell you exactly what's going on with him, but I can tell you that I hope that he gets his shots. He's had a lot of injuries over the years, but his talent is immense still. So he just needs to stay active, and that's a kid that could absolutely be a world champion. And right now still considered a blue chip prospect in the boxing world if you know boxing. He just hasn't been active because of those injuries that he was sidelined with, for a couple years. But he's back. He's fighting again. And, I'm a fan when it comes to watching him. So can't tell you exactly what's going on with him. A friend of mine manages him, but I can tell you that I do root for him and tune in and watch every time he fights. I hope the best for him every time.
Hey, so do I, and he's from my hometown, Madera, California. What's the next question?
Jesus M.
Go ahead.
Jesus M.
He wanted to know, if you weren't manager, what would you be?
If you weren't a manager, Rick, what would you be? From Jesus M.
I'm a promoter, a manager. That's what I am. You mean if I wasn't those two things, I'd be a lawyer, without question. That's what I wanted to be. I love to argue. I'm quick as far as, just having a comeback or being witty or trying to figure stuff out. But absolutely, I would have been a lawyer. In fact, that's what I was going to go to school for. I went to, I graduated valedictorian in my high school, and then, I went and toured Berkeley's Bolt Hall, for law. And, that was always my passion. I love it. But, my gift is, I think, being a marketer, a promoter, and a manager. I think that's my gift I found. But I'd be a lawyer if I wasn't that.
Great question and great answer.
Gary Logans, what are Rick's thoughts on the Teofimo Lopez, George Kambosos Triller situation?
I think it's a circus, and I think it's a shame. These poor young men have been delayed, momentum lost, just parts of their career they won't get back. And then, like, the stuff I'm seeing now where the Kambosos side he's feeling the frustration, with the date changes and all that stuff that you guys are reading out there. Like, he doesn't want to agree to that date change. Or I think he's in Australia still. So now he's pushing back on the latest date. And it's just sad to see all that. There's just so much chaotic stuff wrong with this whole scenario. And, if I'm Kambosos, I'm looking at this scenario a lot different than Lopez. Kambosos' earning potential, this is 4 careers in one for him in this fight.
Yeah.
Like, this payday he will not see again, and it will change the rest of his life and his kid's life and his kids' kids. You got to wear white gloves as much as you can on your side, given what you have at stake. Fighting back so hard, pushing back so hard, it's not like he has a background of a Canelo or a Lopez where he can afford to take those risks, in my opinion. He's got to be more calculated when pushing back with that type of aggression to the person that has to write him that $2.1 million check. That's my thoughts on that side. Great fighter, and I want to see the fight as much as anyone, but the manager part of me, looking at that situation, I think he's got a lawyer now, Canelo's lawyer, who's advocating, one of the smartest guys in the sport. But he's not. Canelo is my question there, in that situation. It's, do you take the same aggressive nature as you would with Canelo with him? In my opinion only, I wouldn't with that one. I would approach that a little bit different to keep that thing intact as much as I can. given his side of the fight. Now with Lopez, I would be pissed off, and I would, I can see that approach coming from him. He has that earning potential day in and day out moving forward. So I think he could gamble, make them pay him a few bucks here and there, and make higher demands on his end, and likely get him met. So that's how my approach would be there. But I just I feel bad for them both because Teofimo is a star in the sport, and he's someone that the sport desperately needs. Keeps eyes on the sport. Tremendous fighter. Even though I playfully just talk shit and joke. I don't know if he thinks I'm serious or not, but I never am. I have nothing but respect for him, and he's helping the sport single-handedly with the attention he brings. But I just think he could have fought 2 or 3 times during these delays, that have taken place and not lost any momentum and still made more money. So I feel bad for him on that standpoint that they haven't produced his fight. So that's my feelings on both sides. For both fighters.
Rick, I'm going to change up a bit, and we're going to go back to some of these questions. I want to talk to you about something that you've been posting lately, and I'm just waiting for you to capture, because there's always a blurry or a picture. We're not sure if it's real or not, brother, but you got some live animals walking behind your backyard. I mean, you got bears and you got tigers, and I said you're going to get that 1 in a million shot of Bigfoot just walking by, and if it's anybody, it's going to be you.
Yeah, no, I really do think Bigfoot's going to come knock on my door. Hey, I'm going to end up having to promote him or something. Like, it's going to happen. I have everything from bears to coyotes to foxes to raccoons. There's an animal, I don't even know what it is. I've yet to identify it that walks by. And, I call it the Dr. Seuss highway or Noah's Ark highway in front of me. Like, it's mind-blowing what walks right there. But it's definitely an adventure every time I get a notification on the camera. Definitely.
Hey, listen, man, pretty soon you're going to see a human fighter walk across and just trying to get a hold of you like, hey, give me a contract, man. I'm ready to sign with you. I mean, you're really going to capture that. All jokes aside, I mean, have you ever had any fighters that just, I don't want to say hound you, they were just so persistent, like, hey, just give me this opportunity, and, you just didn't have the time for them, or you just weren't into that fighter? How many fighters approach you on a daily? You mentioned that early in the show.
So I don't think that there's not fighters that are overly persistent because I'm overly honest with them when I talk to them. So while they're persistent at first, I also, don't BS anyone, and you know how blunt I am. So yeah. I basically just will say what I feel is the truth. If I can't help you, I'm going to tell you why I can't help you, what my opinion is. It doesn't mean that that's the end all just because I've said that, but that's my opinion and why I can't do anything or why I'm not going to be able to. So I do tell, most everyone if I can or can't, because I don't sign everybody. And the ones that I do sign, I have, a commitment to get stuff done for. So nobody's overly persistent. They may be at first, but, I don't give them a fake answer or lead them on or that kind of thing. So usually it stops after I'm honest with them, which, I'd want somebody to be honest with me also.
What is the jewel? What is that you don't have your hands on yet, but share with the world, man, that you're after?
What is that jewel? What, from a boxing standpoint?
From life.
Life. What is the jewel of life that I haven't
embraced it? I mean, you're ready to embrace it. You haven't had your hands or the opportunity yet, and you're still chasing it.
It sounds odd, but it's like, I don't dream of having 5 Ferraris or, mansions or none of that. Like, that's, to me, like, not something on my radar or even care about. I think, to me, more finding a challenge and trying to overcome it is more of a jewel. So I'd like to say at this point, like, I've picked up every challenge that I've wanted, and I've tried at it to this point. So I don't really have a regret or something I'm still dying to do that I haven't tried or challenged myself with. So those things develop with time. So as certain things get completed, then I I didn't look, for the next thing, or it just comes to me of that's what I want to do next. So I've been fortunate enough to tackle what I would say dreams are, and I've of course failed at some, got caught some of them, but never a lack of not getting the opportunity. Win or lose, I get those opportunities. So I don't really have one at this point that I'm chasing. They kind of chase me sometimes, to be honest with you. That's what happens. It'll find me. This weird stuff finds me, and you know that. The craziest things that no one would ever understand or believe, except the people that know me, they find me. Like, for instance, the first NFL helmet ever worn in a game that you saw me post on Instagram, I'm in the Rams ownership office with the Kroenke that owns the Rams, with the first helmet ever used in an NFL football game that was a Rams helmet that now I get to help market and sell, that ended up in my hands in Fresno, California. Like, that found me, right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. This weird stuff just finds me. The first baseball card ever made, 1869, Peck and Snyder, only 4 of them. It finds me. Then I do my job with it, and the next thing I know, I'm on Jay Leno on President Obama's inauguration night to 30 million people. It's weird stuff like that. A guy blows up a casino in Lake Tahoe, Harvey's and Harrah's, right there. Blows it to the ground. The guy plays basketball in Fresno with me, 12 years ago. I foul him on accident, don't even know who I'm fouling. That leads to me getting a movie deal done called Bombing Harvey's and going down an incredible path you wouldn't even believe, like a real-life Ocean's 11 movie, a real one. Like, those things just find me. So that's I don't got to go looking for them. It'll just find me.
Here's an honest question, and I want you to find this, okay? If you were to start a podcast, what would you call it? Who would be your host? What would be your topics? And who would be your co-host?
So I can't answer all of those, no matter how good I am on the spot. But
okay.
I think that I would have fun with doing a talk show on all the mistakes that I've made from day one. I mean everything. Because they would be animated, truthful, and stuff people don't get to hear on a regular basis, but they want to hear. Like, I'm talking about every mistake with girlfriends, every mistake with, just personally, from paying my phone bills later, getting behind on your taxes, or, just everything a normal person will go through that just makes a shitload of mistakes on. Like, that's what I would base the talk show on. It's just talking about each one of those mistakes, and then what was done to fix them, what can be done, but there's such a laundry list of them. I mean, it would be mind-blowing, and there's some hilarious mistakes in there, from being 16 years old and going and buying a car without my mom knowing, 13 years old, buying a car at the guy's door, driving it home, the transmission stopping in the middle of Shaw Avenue, and then me trying to figure out, well, how do I get my money back? I was a minor and went and bought a Honda Accord that nobody even knew about. Now I'm stuck in the middle of Shaw, and I've used all the money that I saved up that was intended for something else. And, like, there's a mistake. And it's just but it's hilarious, like, some of these stupid things that have happened over the years like that.
What was that drive like? What was that drive like, a 13-year-old buying his first car?
So, I grew up in the hood. So, the drive wasn't nothing. My friends were stealing cars back then, and it wasn't uncommon to look over and see a screwdriver in the gear deal where you turn the key. So the driving part wasn't weird. Being stopped in the middle of the road on Shaw and having a cop come over, now that was the weird part. Like, that was not the driving part. You learn young how to drive a car, but definitely weird when you have to explain to your mom, to the cop. I mean, you got a lot of explaining to do. Where'd you get the money to buy the car from? Which, I got from buying and selling everything you can possibly imagine. Nothing illegal, but you got to explain that. Then you got to explain to the officer why you're driving it. Then you got your mom who's cussing and screaming, and you can't make out any other word but a cuss word. You got to explain to her, why you went and did that. So that was the weird part.
But you learned from it, and you could talk about it now, and you would share that on your talk show.
One, that might be the one I didn't learn from, because I continue to do some stupid things like that.
And as far as like investments, or just see things that you just want to go after?
just too many examples to fill the show up. But that's why I would have a talk show that just talked about all of the mistakes made along the way. And I continue to make to this day.
Do you see the growth from those mistakes, or do you know going in, okay, this is a possible mistake, but the stubbornness and the belief that I have in myself is going to get done?
So I think there's the risk taker genetic displacement is what causes most of those. It's the risk taking that's just embedded into your genes that causes it. So, approaching certain situations, sometimes you don't quite think out all of the consequences, to the situation. That's the problem. That's where things get bad. A risk taker doesn't always calculate those, consequences like someone more conservative would be, or would do.
Rick, a week and a half ago, we had Jose Ramirez with us in studio, and he seemed very focused. He seemed well rested, and he's ready to get back into the ring. Now, I'm just trying to cut these 15 questions in half, and I'll go ahead and ask it for him. Is there a fight date coming up for Jose, and when can the fans see him back in the ring? Because there's a couple questions with the same question.
He'll fight January, late January, mid to late January. That's when he'll return, and Fresno is a front runner for that situation.
Sounds good. Hey, enough said. Now that they should know to look forward and get a late Christmas present for everybody in Fresno, California that watches and supports him.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And, Christmas is just going to come a couple weeks late for a lot of them.
Yeah, he's got the second part of his career, and a massive one at that's going to unfold and start to take place, and that's exciting. No matter what, that's my first guy, and there's no Rick without Jose. I'm not here, that's for sure. No question, I'm not here. So that remains a close passion and personal thing to me to help guide the second part of his career coming up, and I just know he's got some very special things that are going to take place in the second part, and he's still top of the food chain from a pay standpoint, top of the food chain with his options, on what he can do and who he can fight. He is probably the most intense competitor I know. That loss that took place, I mean, it's almost bad to say, part of me wishes that it happened just because I know his personality, and it's, basically what's happened is a monster has been fine-tuned. Like, whatever weakness he may have had, he now knows what he needs to do with it. He's that ultimate competitor. He's the toughest on himself more than anyone. So he knows what he did wrong. You heard him afterwards. He knows the things that are needed now for this second part of his career. And that's the part I look forward the most to, because most people don't know that part of Jose Ramirez. He, without question, I'm telling you, there is no bigger competitor. If we're sitting here, he's going to see who can spit further. Then he's going to argue with you about it. Then if you spit further than him, he's going to go get a glass of water, and he's going to spit for the next 4 hours until he beats where your line went. He just won't tell you for 4 hours he did that. He'll just invite you back over, bet you $100, and spit farther than you. That's what he's going to do coming up, and I just know that part of him. That knockdown when, and I say it, and people will say I'm biased, and they can, and that's fine. But the way the ref handled that fight to this day, we didn't get the cleanest version or the real version of that fight like we should have gotten. The multiple clinching that Taylor had done leading up to that, the ref, and how he handled the breaks, not taking a point. So when they did that one break, Jose's that was the 9th time it happened. So Jose's assuming, that the ref stepped in, and that's what he's doing again. And then the ref kind of leaves his arm out, and that's where I think Jose picks up the biggest lessons, and that's, you're in a dogfight in a fight that big. There's no respect. That fighter across from you, he's not going to be respectful. He's not going to fight clean. He's going to fight dirty as can be to win that fight. And I think that's the lesson that Ramirez took out of that. Because there's, as you could see the fight developing, even after Ramirez took a punch that he shouldn't have never taken, in my opinion, with the way the ref handled stuff, he still came back and won almost every round, towards the end. And then he still was dominating that fight, and those clinches had to happen. But, that's, to me, that's that lesson he got out of it. That's the part that I know he's going to turn into, like this special thing that makes him, fierce as a competitor can get moving forward. And don't get me wrong, Taylor is without question the champion and an immensely intelligent fighter. And Taylor just was going to do everything he could to win that fight. And I think that's that mentality that you have to have going into those kind of fights. But I think that we were robbed of a pure fight in that fight to see what would have happened. And I think Ramirez's momentum, if not for that one point in the fight that was the turning point, I think Ramirez pulls that fight out, and wins. But, I think those two will fight again. Taylor, to me, belongs right now with beating Jose in that fight, and what Jose's accomplished, like way up the pound-for-pound list, than way more than some of these other guys. So those two will see each other again, and I do think Jose will get the last laugh in that one, picking up what he learned moving forward. I know he will.
Did you have a talk with Kenny Bayless at all after the fight? Did you explain to him, or did you ask him?
I mean, what could I ask him at that point? I mean, it was obvious he had the worst performance of his entire career. He just turned in what would be the absolute disaster of his entire career. I don't think he had a worse fight that he's ever done. It was depressing having watched the replay of that fight 19 times and counting the amount of warnings with no point taken, watching him handle that break again without a defining, position a ref's supposed to have. He's supposed to command respect, know what he's doing. When a break happens, there's a break, not a timid half in, half out. It's disgusting when you have to replay it. But he was such a good ref in the prior years, and he just, a different version of Bayless, and that fight is completely different. Completely different. And I don't think that a lot of people could argue that point. Josh did what he had to win that fight. That's why he's the champion. He did what he had to do. But that fight controlled right. Nah, Jose wins that fight.
I saw you after the fight at the elevator, and you informed me, you said, Richard, that's just one loss. And you said you're going to see the way Jose rebounds after this, and we're all looking forward to this. There's one thing that sticks out in my mind. I asked Jose as we were walking out the door, I said, hey, how'd you get here? And this is the type of man that he is. He said, the red car. He didn't say the Spider, the Ferrari. He said the red car.
Do you see how long he waited to buy that red car?
Yeah.
He could have bought that red car 3 years before. But
3 fights before.
He's just a disciplined person by nature. Like, you can give a lot of people advice and you can guide them, but they don't take it or listen.
Yeah.
He does, and he did. He's just, I wish I was as disciplined as him financially and in a number of other ways. He's just a disciplined person, and, he prioritizes things, and he's just incredible from that standpoint, meaning he'll make sure his family's taken care of, his mom, his dad, his brother, his kids, and his wife. And until all that stuff's done, he won't think of buying himself a car. He'll feel guilty. Like, he'll personally feel guilty if he bought himself something or splurged, if all of that stuff wasn't done first. Like, that's who he is.
No, I agree with you 100%. Speaking of splurge, because I do want to get to this question, and it's from, I was going to say Charles Tremblay, but it's Dr. Charles Tremblay. I'll get to his in a little while. It's something you said just stuck in my head. Rick, when you splurge, what do you splurge on? What do you go after? I mean, what do you say to yourself, okay, maybe the next financial breakthrough, I'm going to get myself this. What do you go after? What do you like?
I'm very subtle with stuff. I'm not flashy. You don't see me out anywhere, you know. So I have a nice watch. I have, the things that I, wanted that are low key, but to me important, taken care of. But I guess a splurge for me is a trip, maybe. Just going somewhere and you know not having to live on the phone or email and just relax. Like that's a splurge. And ironically, like this is gonna sound pathetic, but like being at home and watching TV and laying in bed is akin to what most people would think of going to Cancun and partying for the weekend. Like that to me is going to Cancun and partying, just laying in bed, watching TV, and not having to think or do anything for one day. Like that's my personal splurge, to be honest. So it's not monetary. I think time is the most valuable thing that anyone has anyway.
Absolutely.
If someone spends their time with you, people don't know how valuable that is. And I think spending time on myself is how I splurge.
Absolutely. I love those moments. And there's nothing like relaxing because you get to relax in your own home. It's good to visit and good to go new places. But there's, hey, Judy Garland said it best. There's no place like home.
No, this is true. Just giving yourself that little bit of time is, to me, a splurge.
I'm going to take this question right now. Let me find this. He said, make sure I get this. No, not here. Oh, that guy's weird. Okay, this is coming from Dr. Charles Tremblay. Ask Rick about how he got involved with Jose Ramirez and why does it take Rick 7 weeks to return a call back?
So he's full of shit because he knows that if he puts important, I'll drop what I'm doing and call. If he just calls to call, I'm never going to answer the phone. Heck, I feel bad because my mom will just call and I can't answer sometime. But if he's
well, hell, now I don't feel bad because you do that to me.
He said it's important. He knows I will call him back. So he's just trying to be like a mini promoter right now. Tell him to stop. He's already become a doctor. As a doctor, he's not going to be a promoter and accomplish that anytime soon. He is I've known him since I've known Jose. We all started at the same time. He has worked his way up to being, without question, the single best trainer, conditioning, nutrition guy in the sport. There's no one like him. He's clean, he's by the book, and he's a walking encyclopedia of knowledge that you wouldn't even understand if he starts talking to you. Like the things that he understands that the body does, how it reacts to things, whether it's neurological stuff, whether it's your metabolism, whether it's how your muscle will grow, detract, how it acts under pressure. I've seen every kind of trainer that are, strength and conditioning coach, those kind of guys. I've seen every one of them in the sport in my time. There's not a single one like him.
No.
But on top of that, having achieved the level that he has with his doctorate, just to complement what he already had anyway, that's just a piece of paper to me. He was always a doctor or had that doctorate to me. He always had that. He just has a piece of paper now that says it. And if you know him, you know that about him. But you can't add a person better to your team. Like, you have to have a guy like that there. Like, he's the guy you want to have. And on top of that, he will do anything for his fighters. Anything. Like, he would literally take a bullet for any one of his guys, and I mean that. That's on top of that. He's their friend. He cares about them far past any business that he does with them. But that's the special part of life. You start these journeys and you don't know where they go. To start a journey and him still be here from day one with us, that's a special thing. You don't get that very often, if ever. You just don't. But he's built his own client roster up that is second to none in the sport. Like, he has everybody. He trains everybody. Virgil Ortiz, Mikey Garcia, Jose Ramirez, Josecito Lopez, Josh Franco. I mean, this guy has the best of the best of the best, but he's just getting started. Where he's taking his own work is he's got his own ways to change the sport from an entrepreneurial standpoint. His goal right now is to, improve the sport's safety issues, from a neurological standpoint, to help with the concussion things, to make sure that these guys that are training these fighters are at least certified in the basics that they're not now with the commissions. Charles has come up with an idea and a plan that would enable these commissions to basically certify anybody that is a licensed trainer, that they got to know these basics to protect a fighter. Weight loss, weight cut. Probably one of the biggest things there is that screws up every fighter, medically. Charles has come up with a system that makes a trainer or a person around the fighter get certified to handle, notice certain things, and save a fighter. Case in point, same thing with the concussion elements. Charles is working on a project that is revolutionary. It's going to blow you away when it goes public.
Yeah. And
it treats concussions, and he's studied the neurological effects from sparring to preventive maintenance, and come up with an entrepreneurial way to deal with the treatment of that recovery and the acute things when they happen. So you're just seeing that guy get started, and I'm saying it here first on your show. You'll look back and see that when he's done, when his gloves get hung up, if he was a fighter, he will have changed the sport in two big ways. Mark my words.
I believe I've known Charles for, 15 years. I can call him a friend. And just the way you said it best. I mean, he talks to you and treats you like you're his brother in the conversation.
But Charles has had 17,000 girlfriends before he settled down and found the one that I know he's going to stay with forever, which was amazing to see. Charles has had about 18,000 girlfriends, not 17. Just so you know, we'll just put that on the record.
No, I knew of that. I just wasn't going to say it. So, yeah.
No, I said it. So
yeah,
that's it.
yeah. And we went to a celebration. I believe it was last week, and I knew underneath my breath. I knew going in there. I said, they're probably going to be possibly Mikey or Robert there or somebody, and Jose was there.
Charles has had.
Bring that picture up, please.
Charles had. I guarantee you, Charles had more girlfriends than Oscar De La Hoya. Take your best fighter that was a ladies' man. Will Chamberlain even. Charles has beat them all. I swear to God he has. Ask Jose Ramirez. Ask anybody. Charles is number one, period.
Well, I mean, he does pull them like he was a Santa Claus in telling his reindeer to go. I mean, and not just at once, but I've known Charles forever, but I'll change that subject because he found himself a nice queen.
Yeah, like I said, he's done it for life. He's found the one, and I'm so grateful.
I am too.
I've never seen him this happy.
I agree with you.
And that's how I know,
yes.
Okay, he's done.
Yes. Yeah, I'm pulling up that picture there. Yeah, I mean, he's lit up. He is happy. And enough said. That's that.
And most people don't know, he ain't just a regular trainer. This guy could kill you with his bare hands, literally. I'm not kidding you.
He shared those stories with us over dinner. Yes.
He's trained counter-terrorism, anti-training classes. This guy has taught special force guys how to go in there and grab somebody by the neck and pull their artery out from their ear. He just knows every kill point on the body from all this specialized training and stuff he's been through. It's crazy. And little fact, unbeknown to most people, is he even had an MMA fight against a big name. Ask him about that sometime when you get him on the show. He actually had an MMA fight against a known name that will blow you away.
Well, I'm not surprised. Just like Nick Diaz said. But what's in my mind, Rick, is you mentioned a fighter that you're getting ready to make an announcement, and you couldn't say anything. Can you let us know what's the weight class?
I can't say that either because, obviously I wouldn't even get involved with someone that I really didn't, think that there's a lot to be done with him and just amazing things. So I can't even tell you the weight class.
Okay.
I can tell you that you're going to hear a shitload about him afterwards. There's no question. That's my opportunity. Someone else, potentially didn't really know what they had or take, the steps that they did with him. So, that led to him being, completely free. which, you know, is the first thing I tell anyone. Look, you know, if you're in contact with someone else, don't even talk to me. You know, so I make that known more than anything. But this one here, this will be fun. Like, I'm excited for what's, you know, the opportunity here. You should find out in about 10 days.
No, I'm going to put this together right now. I mean,
I can tell you this.
It's already calculated.
He's
And
from
when I do
California.
find out,
He's from
I don't need to
California.
Google that shit. Okay, just for the record, Rick.
From
When I do,
California.
okay, he's from California.
Yes, he is.
Okay, all right. Let's find out. And like I was saying, and when I do find out, I don't need to Google it. I'll just find out.
Oh, you know, you won't have to Google him.
No, I'm just letting you know that's the difference between myself and a lot of people that live behind a laptop. And there's no hurt and foul on that. I'm just it is what it is. There's one question that just I remembered right now, and it's from Frank Estelle because it sticks in my head, and I said that's a great question. He said, what fight would he put together of fighters would be a blockbuster fight that he manages both at the same time or represents both at the same time? If you could put them together, what two would it be?
Oh God, that's just too scary. Like,
yeah,
I dread the day that has to even take place. So, I mean, you know the guys that I have, so
Yeah.
I'll let you be the fantasy matchmaker and deflect that to you.
Oh,
Since you're
man.
not the guys like behind the laptop and you actually do know the sport and you live, eat, sleep, and breathe it and have for decades, I'll let you make the fantasy fights with the guys I have. Go ahead.
Okay, right now, this fight on paper is going to be scheduled for 12 rounds, but it's only going 5 freaking rounds, and we're talking about Jose Ramirez taking on Arnold Barboza. Is fireworks from round 1 to round 5, and the best man will win that fight.
Yikes, man. Look, Arnold's getting his shot quick. Like, Arnold's worked his way up to the top of the food chain. I mean, he's number 2 now, and I think the WBO. After Taylor fights Catterall, you know, he could be stuck in a mandatory place. You could see their paths cross. Like, there's so many big fights that Arnold will get to choose from that could happen. Like, you're going to see it. You know, he's got every option there is for a world title. He will be in a world title fight without question next year. So, who? We don't know yet.
That is
But
scary.
that would be a huge fight. And look, I can tell you this. Arnold and Jose are both very respectful. Arnold is intensely respectful, but he has that competitive heart, and just like Jose, you know, he's the same way. So they would fight each other, but they also respect each other. And I tell you that because I know they respect each other immensely. And that's the part I love about both of them. You know, that's a rare quality. A lot of guys will talk shit, you know, to try to bait a fight in and go that route. There's no need when you have people that are like that. I mean, they're genuine people. They're respectful. They do care about each other's well-being as fighters and human beings, period. But they will fight each other in a heartbeat. That you've got to love that. You know, I love that kind of build-up to a fight versus here's the villain and here's the nice guy. Like, I like that. I like two fighters that are immensely respectful, but they will fight at a drop of a dime against each other if need be. Like, that's what I like.
Hey, exactly. I agree with you. I don't want to get off topic. I want to jump right back in here in October 16th, man. That is right around the corner. What do we have planned that week? I need to know, bro, because I need to set my days off of work. It's
So
in my
I'm gonna
backyard.
put out a
I need to be a
schedule
part
next
of it.
week Probably, but we'll have
Okay.
a big press conference at most likely Chick Chansey, followed by a meet and greet with, you know, Mikey, Jose, and Robert. Most likely, like, that's what I'm working on right now to get set and done. So, you know, that'll be a fun night, and there'll be a ton of people that'll attend that. Then I'm working on making the weigh-ins public, so everybody can attend. So, you know, getting the weigh-ins set and done next week, making them public. You know, I know it's going to draw a ton of people. And, you know, Mikey is a fan-friendly, fan-first, appreciates his fans type of fighter. So, you know, Mikey's the type of guy that will sign autographs, and he will stay. And so that's what's great about him. So if you're in Fresno and you're a fight fan, you know, you've got a chance to meet one of the all-time greats and him actually meet you, you know.
You can't pass up that opportunity in Fresno, California to not just see the fight, but, you know, have that opportunity to shake in the man's hand. How many people can say?
You're gonna be able to meet Robert, meet Mikey, even Jose. At the casino, you're gonna have a chance to see these guys at the weigh-in. I mean, that's the Garcias are the first family of boxing. That even
Very
Big G
well
will
said.
be out here as
Very
well.
well said.
It's crazy. At Virgil's fight, I had Big G sitting next to me, right?
Yeah.
So right in the front row, right next to me. So he said because Robert was in Oklahoma at Franco's fight at the time, and so Robert's dad came to be there for Ortiz. So he sat next to me. I'm telling you, the fans that mob him,
Yes.
like he's a Oscar De La Hoya, like he.
Yep.
Every 5 seconds, someone's taking a picture.
Well,
with
Rick,
him.
it started with him. It started with him. He was the root. He was the base. He was the dreamer. He was the believer. And now the fruits are all there.
Fruits. That's one hell of a fruit bowl with the fights that Mikey's had and the money he's made and the success Robert's had and money he's made training and fighting as a world champion. That's all of Casa de Fruta. Forget the fruit bowl. I mean, it's made for a movie someday, period.
Hey, man, I already know you're trying to sign Bear.
Sign who?
Bear. That's Robert's little grandbaby.
Yeah, you see him, huh?
Yeah.
That little. He's got that fight gene in him. It's like you can't describe it, but you know he
It's
has
there.
that fight gene in him.
It's there, and that's just letting you know.
It is. It's 100% undeniable. It's there.
Any chance of a media workout?
No. On this fight, they won't do a media workout. That's not something that Matchroom likes to do or does. But again, you will have the press conference, and you will have a chance to meet those guys after. You will have the weigh-in as well, which will be public. So those are two fantastic things in and of themselves, and we don't always get that even with our own fights. So there's definitely two special moments right there.
Well, we're very well invested in the whole fight in Fresno. I mean, it coming back, live fights in Fresno, because Fresno fans got to see it in Texas and Vegas, but they have that itch and they get to finally scratch that itch October 16th. We're taking our team down to Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy next Wednesday, so we're going to come back with some content. We're going to do our due diligence and put the work in and, come back with some great content. And being that said, any chance week before the Fighter's Voice can give out maybe a pair of tickets?
Yeah, absolutely. We can make that happen. We'll get you a few pairs. Just remind me, tomorrow, and I'll get it set over the weekend so you can get them on like Monday or Tuesday. But yeah, I'll get you a few pairs.
Sounds good. And we're going to have to come up with some kind of fair contest, because Rick, we didn't even get to all the questions on YouTube right now. And a lot were coming in. It's still coming in.
If you need to, like I say, ask away if you need it. I'm on the phone. So
okay. Let's pull some up right now. What do we have?
Yeah, a lot of them got answered because subjects got brought up.
Yeah.
But see, Dog Boxer Athletics.
Okay.
Rick, I've been to most of your events. I've always noticed that you tend to take the time to watch the fights and really observe the crowd's reactions. Have you ever had a moment that you will never forget?
That's my man, Eric Hernandez.
Tremendous question. He put a lot of thought into that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do watch the crowd immensely, and I do watch things with the fight that you wouldn't even think I am. The reason I think I've been successful as a promoter is there's one simple rule that I promote by, and that's you have got to make things emotional with your fight. Something has to touch them. Something has to make them cry. Something has to make them angry. You have to move them somehow, some way emotionally to have done your job right. And if you move someone emotionally, it's something they never forget. They'll go to a fight, they'll go to 100 fights, and they'll forget 99 of them. But the one that they were emotional at, they won't forget that. And that's what I strive for. That's why I do look at the crowd. I do look and see how hard they're cheering or if they're crying during a moment. And that special moment for me was doing the cancer fight at the Save Mart Center on a Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock. I got the worst time slot and day that we could be given for a show to put on. And me and Jose said, we don't need this. We'll make it the best. And we did. We made that fight
on a Sunday
about cancer and Let's KO Cancer. 10,000 people held a sign up that said, Let's KO Cancer. We went to the hospitals in advance, and Jose and even little Gabriel Flores would visit all the cancer people there. We'd hand out stuff, took pictures. We celebrated in the ring someone that beat cancer. They got to ring the bell and get a WBC belt. And it just touched everybody's hearts in ways you can't even imagine. Giving these kids championship belts, putting 2 of them in the ring, fight night. 14,781 people attended that fight on a Sunday at 5 o'clock on ESPN. It was one of the most emotional events you'll ever see. And for me, my mom is dying of cancer, and she has been to probably one event in my entire life, and I've done every comedy show, concert, fight you can name, and I got her to come to this one, and this was for her. And, you know, she was given a WBC green belt in the ring, and that moment is going to last me the rest of my life, and probably the most special moment that I've had in my life doing any event. And I think everyone in the arena that night at some point had a teardrop in their eye, no matter who they were. If it wasn't for the kids that, you know, were fighting cancer or beat cancer, or the part with my mom that was done, they were moved emotionally that night. And it was something that, you know, I don't think most people will forget if they attended. How often do you go to a fight and get that kind of energy and emotion and that kind of thing? And I think that's what I strive for, and that's what I look for when I'm at an event. And what am I looking at in relation to the fighter? I'm looking at, to me, the manager part of me is looking at the interaction between a trainer and a fighter. How is he responding to the trainer? What is the trainer saying? Are the fighter's eyes turning away? Does he have him motivated when he needs to be motivated? Is the trainer talking loud? Is he talking soft? Those are the things as a manager I'm looking at, you know, in between rounds, because, you know, in my position, it's always not the easiest thing. Fighters can't make the decisions for themselves that they need to once in a while. But, you know, as you grow through the sport, a manager has to be able to notice when a fighter is not reacting to a trainer, and when he's not being motivated, and when he's not being listened to. You have got to pick up on those signs, because if you don't, then, you know, you're not doing your job. So that's the other thing I'm looking at from a fight standpoint.
You know what? You just answered my question as well. And when we do give those tickets away, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, name your best moment in attendance to a Rick Mirigian promoted fight. Which moment was it? So that's one that I am going to start asking, and the best ones, I'm going to award them some tickets.
They always have something. I mean, had the fight for waters, the cancer fight, Gabriel's fight in Stockton. That was incredible that I did there. I mean, you want to talk about not a dry eye in the house. Everyone went from crying to going crazy, like pulling out guns ready to kill somebody when he fought. Like, that was probably one of the most emotional fights I did too. You know, Gabriel's mother was killed in a drive-by in Stockton, and I put an empty seat by the ring with her picture on it so he could see that she was being honored, and watching him when he came out. And then we did all the lead-ins, you know, from his city and what he went through in the neighborhoods that he had to overcome. And when ESPN put all that on the air and they put that seat on there, and then Joe Tessitore said live on ESPN, "This is louder and more energetic than any fight I've been to at Madison Square Garden," and I'm not making that up. That's how electrifying and emotional it was in there. And after that fight was done, like, I gave myself a pat on the back, and I'll do another one right now, because I pulled what I wanted to pull off. I wanted that emotion from that young man's life and story integrated into that arena, that fight, and on TV. And what a magical night. Gabriel knocks his opponent out, gets looped on SportsCenter. Joe Tessitore is going crazy. And I'm telling you, if you were in that arena, then you would have been in the most exciting fight probably you've ever been to that night. You went from tears to just ready to rumble yourself.
I was there, and I remember that left hook.
Is it an ounce less than what I just described?
No.
Honestly.
No. You're absolutely right. I mean,
that's what promoters don't do nowadays, because they're lazy and they don't do their jobs. And they don't know their fighters' backgrounds, and they don't know how to write a storyline, and they stopped promoting. And that's why we have so many boring ass fights that you see on TV. They're just boring. There's nothing there to watch, you know. But you'll have a good storyline October 16th. You'll feel alive at the stadium. And if you're from the Central Valley and you're born and raised from the Central Valley, oh, you're going to connect to what you see with his walkout. You're going to feel very proud at that moment like no other fight you've been to?
Hey man, I've had the privilege of hearing some of the ideas that were thrown that way, and I'm not gonna air it on the air. With conversations with both Mikey and Jose that I was privileged to participate in.
Yeah, that's you know, I took some time to think that one out, but I know it's gonna strike emotion in a lot of people, including yourself. You'll feel it. You'll feel it.
Hey man, I do feel it. I mean, I'm gonna share my moment real quick. I'm showing up to a fight. I'm getting ready to cover it. I don't know what's going on. I get one random call that's I usually don't get. And Charles says, "Hey, what time you showing up?" And I said, "I don't know. As soon as I can get off work, I'm gonna go home, shower. I'm gonna head down there." And I get there. There was no prep. There was no Richard get ready or anything. And I'm there, and I see a 10 count for my son.
Oh, you do remember that?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what keeps me going.
Me and Jose talked
Yeah.
about that.
That was cool.
We wanted to do something special for you because you had been covering everything. Look, it's one thing to get people to cover you when you get to a certain point.
Yeah.
It's another thing to have people cover you when you're starting and no one wants to cover you. Those kind of things you just don't forget. And at the time, like you were spending time after work and shooting videos and going to the I think the Dan Gambles and you were showing up for every little press conference. And I mean, we're talking the first 3 fights we ever did. You treated it like it was, the Ali Frazier, so you don't forget
Still
stuff
do.
like that. And neither did Jose. And, that fight that you're talking about was just our way of kind of just letting you know that we appreciate stuff back. That's what that was. I think you have his shorts still.
No, I got the banner. I don't have the shorts, but I got the banner.
We got to find those shorts. He's on those shorts.
Yeah, I remember that. And that blew me away too. It really did. I mean, just like when Sean and I get that video from Sean with Manny Pacquiao giving the thumbs up for Richie.
I told you that's just how he at. He probably was doing a $20 million deal, and it just got done coming out of the Senate hearings in the Philippines and did that. That's how he is. Like it just But people don't forget stuff along the way.
No.
They don't. They're gonna show it and do it at the time that you least expect. But they, they're thinking about you. When they do, and that kind of thing. So it's always special to see that. And boxing has a lot of those kind of relationships in there. It does. For all its bad stuff, it's also very close and emotional and caring at the same time of it being brutal and the Wild West and con men. It's equally special when it comes to those kind of things.
Oh, it is. I agree with you, and that's why you saw an emotional Richard Ortiz after the fight when I talked to you at the elevator after Jose's last fight. Moving forward, man. Serious, I'm excited. And I was telling people, they would ask the question, hey, you going to that fight? I said, absolutely. It's in our backyard. We have to be there. We have to embrace it. And here's the thing. A lot of people don't appreciate it until it's gone. Rick, coming up, you gave these fighters the opportunity to become stars. Whatever they did was up to them once their opportunity for them to come inside of the ring for these big events. A lot of them made their pro debut with 14,000 live fans because they were on the undercard of Jose Ramirez.
A lot of them met their wives and girlfriends from the events that I did or celebrating at the nightclub afterwards, and taking one of them home and marrying them. Like, it's funny how life is. But along the way, there was quite a few guys that I got opportunities to fight with Top Rank, signed to Top Rank. I didn't have to. My life would have been easier not doing it. But that was something that Jose and I had talked about, and Jose wanted to make sure that we gave other fighters from where we live a chance at least along the way. And when he told me that, I gave Jose my word to make that happen. But that started with Jose as well,
Yeah.
I got to grow up in the sport from a fighter first standpoint, but that's why I'm so passionate and fight the way I do for my guys is, I got that from Jose. So, what fighters care about most, what they need, just opportunities. And that was one of the things he talked about is they just don't get opportunities. There's a lot of talent around, but no one gives them a chance. And that's where that came from. So we got like probably 15 guys chances along the way. And some have memorable moments and are still fighting, like Kalisto Madera. he's my favorite fighter. Like, if I have to pick a favorite fighter, you said, Rick, who's your favorite fighter? It's him. I mean, he has been my favorite and most fun from day one. I mean, he had a fight of the year on Uni Moss, a bloody war at the St. Mars Center once, and his personality and his demeanor, you just can't help but love the guy. So for me, like, he's my favorite guy. I still help him to this day. Like, if he called on his last fight, I helped him, with the bout itself, like, get it done. I didn't charge him nothing. Like, he's that favorite guy for me that, I just love seeing fight, love his energy, love his passion, and that's one of the stories. That came from Jose saying, Rick, get him on here. Let's get him going. And look, he's made a good career. Look how many times he's fought. And he just came off of Fox, sports fighting. And, I think that he's got a big Valley fight in him that I hope gets done. And I'm going to call Luis de Cuba and see and those guys and see if it can't happen. But I think Kalisto fighting Markey from Fresno still is a big fight in the Valley without question, especially now, without question. You saw what he did against Resendez.
Yeah.
Markey upset him, beat him convincingly, so Markey's got some real options now moving forward in fights. But one I would love is him and Kalisto, because I had that fight done before. And it was set. I even have a poster and artwork done. It was going to be at Chansey on Fox Sports, but we had a problem, with the television network and the setup in the back. And the time of year it was at, they didn't want to take the risk of doing it outside at that time, and it fell apart. But it was done. Like, it was made, bout agreements done, artwork done, and so that would be a great fight to see happen out here at some point,
I agree with you. Actually, Kilo's coming in. Kalisto, Kilo, but let me see. He does have a question coming in here. Let me see. Where are we at? Okay, all right. He said, speaking of fantasy fights, Rick, if you could match me up in a realistic fantasy fight, who would it be? And what does, he's talking like the third person, what does Kilo need?
That's it.
Who was that? Against who?
I would have Kalisto fight Ricardo Mayorga.
Okay, I can see that matchup.
That's my fantasy fight. The pre-fight antics would smash Mayweather and Conor McGregor. Those two, I'm telling you.
They'd go at it.
Those two oh, my God. It would be the greatest fantasy fight ever.
That would be a good fight.
I mean,
it'd be the fight before the
just
fight.
The fight, but the pre-fight lead up.
Yes.
I mean, this would be heaven for me. It'd be a heavenly fight.
It'd promote itself. You got two outgoing, flashy guys.
No, you have two crazy, psychotic, just real promoters that are fighters. Those guys know how to sell a fight. Kalisto knows how to sell a fight. Trust me.
No, he does.
I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. You know that this guy can sell a fight. 100% can sell a fight, and he did out here. He put a lot of butts in the seats when he fought out here, and he sold those fights at the press conferences, the weigh-ins. I mean, you name it. He's an entertainer on top of being a fighter. That's what I like the most about him.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see him back at it in Fresno. So, do we see any more opportunities? You talked about possibly in January with Jose once again in Fresno, a candidate. Is there anything between the 16th and possibly January?
Say that again. Is there a fight for who? Between
okay. After the 16th, what's the next possible fight in Fresno? You mentioned possibly in January with the return fight for Jose.
That's the next fight.
Okay.
Late January.
Well, then, hey, man, let's get that Madman Hernandez and Kalisto on that card, man. That'd be something.
I would. And like I said, I'm going to ask Luis de Cuba if there's a way to make that fight happen and see if that's something Markey would entertain. But that fight out here, they both make a nice little chunk of money, and they would fill a place. I know it because, especially if I get to help promote it, I know it'll fill a place out here. I know it would. That's an entertaining fight that will have a good pre-fight build-up, maybe put a world title fight on there and make that one the co-main event. It'll do its job in a big way.
Rick, before I ask you this question, I want to make sure that we do address the retirement of Manny Pacquiao. We're going to talk about that. But is it safe to say that Rick Mirigian is possibly, for the most part, misunderstood? because you have this big giant heart that you do for people, and then some people see when you're on the go, so they take that as, okay, well, he doesn't have time for me. People may not understand that you're right in the middle of the grind. I haven't really found Rick in a middle place, me personally. I either find
I don't have a middle place. It's, you know, the irony is, you know, if I let you see that side of me, then I've chosen to, and that's it. Like, you know, everybody's not supposed to know you. You know, everybody's not supposed to have access to that part of you. So, you know, I mean, that's my honest answer to it. I mean, obviously they're gonna say what they want, and they do, and they make their own conclusions, and that's fine. I understand all of that, and sincerely understand it. But when the dust settles, you know, the side of you that you choose to show people, you know, you decide, you know, who gets that side of you. There's if you're getting a certain side of me, that's because that's the side of me that you deserve, or that I want you to have, for whatever reason. If I don't like you, or you're this, or you're that, then you're getting a different, you know, that's just the best way to answer it, you know.
Rick, how many times do you laugh before you post your stuff? Do you laugh to yourself like, okay, I got to get this out?
All the time. All the time. If you're around me, trust me, you'll laugh too. There's no shortage of laughter. I'm a smart ass, shit talking, funny person. So that's me in general. So that's a definite.
You posted something a while back, about maybe less than a month ago. It said something like, you know, when I talked to you, I knew it was the last time I was talking to you. I said, okay, I'll talk to you later. I knew it would be the last time I would talk to you, but you didn't know that was the last time I'd be talking to you.
Yeah, you sent me that dumbass text message. Like,
no, I didn't say any of that.
You were serious, and I looked at my phone, and I'm like, this has nothing to do with you. Like, I know you were trying to be funny, but I'm thinking you're trying to be serious, so I didn't even reply.
No, I'm talking about when you posted something.
Yeah, I know what I posted, but then you sent me a text, like saying something like, so this is the last time I'm going to talk to you, and I didn't reply. I looked at my phone like, oh, what is he doing?
No, you know, I didn't.
I laughed out loud at home by myself when you did that.
Or maybe you just took it that way. Yeah, there you go. I'm posting your post right now. Yeah, there it is there. Well, Rick, I mean, listen, man, you're more than a promoter. You're a people's person, and whether they want to admit it or not, yes, you are. Whether they want to admit it or not, because they follow you and they love your humor. That's the side that they choose to love. They may not love you as the promoter or the smart ass. They may hate you, but they love the humor and that you're a real person.
Oh yeah, no, you have to be if you're a promoter. All the best promoters are people. Trust me, Bob Arum is the epitome of a people person. Like, you have no idea how funny he is, just how he'll interact with people. That's why he lasted so long in his position. Like, this guy genuinely does care about people, and he can go sit in the middle of the hood and eat at a taco stand and then go right to Maestro's afterwards and meet the president of a foreign country. But you have to have that as a promoter to succeed. You have to have that background and that ability to interact with anyone and everyone, and you have to just genuinely enjoy people, period.
You do. You have to embrace the human being, man, and learn from them.
Absolutely. That's why some promoters don't make it, and you know who they are without even saying their names, and then that's why others flourish, and they take things to another level like he did, you know.
When you see these young promoters, do you think that they just want their name on the poster? They want to say, okay, I did this, or are they doing it for the right reasons?
There's no such thing as like promoters to me. There's like 4 real promoters. That's it. Guys that are real promoters. And then there's some that have big names that I don't think promote and do their job at all. And matter of fact, they have taken their position for granted and not used it to its full potential. But there's just a handful of real promoters in the business. There's not a lot. There's a lot of people that think they're promoters, but you know, if you drop them off and a real promoter on an island, the real promoter would be able to put an event on and have it packed and figure out talking to some natives in a native tongue and get them there while the other one would just die. Period.
In a native tongue. Well, how would that conversation sound in that native tongue?
It's just like I would be on that island and I would be communicating with clicks and rocks and whatever else, hand gestures, and I would get them to come watch my event. Period. Like that's what a real promoter would do. Like they're gonna do anything and everything they can to sell that fight. They're gonna get out and work, and they're gonna do what a lot of other people don't do, and that's work. Like it's not easy asking sponsors for money. It's not easy going to news outlets and having to make stories up for them to do their job because they can't. Like it's hard work doing that stuff. So that's why I just know that there's just a handful, and there's some that again that are public, and I'm not gonna say who that just do a horrid job. It's disgusting. It's like you wish if you had those opportunities, what you would do. You think about stuff like that, and then you think, well, that's not how the world works. But
no, it's not. I want to get back on your post too, because this is the side that I enjoy. What do you think personally is your funniest post? And there's two of that stand out with me that were video posts.
I have no idea. I've posted 4,000 different things on Instagram.
Well, I remember you posted something like, "This is what I do. I hit this bag. This is what I do when Ramirez don't return my call." And there was some guy, some kind of Neanderthal guy or something, hitting a bag. Do you remember that one?
No, but that sounds like something I would do. That sounds like something I would post.
And then you said,
but that's like there's an underlying true tone to that.
Is there?
Like it's funny as hell, but it's also very truthful.
I'm saying that because I'm just trying to think of some good ways to give out these tickets, man. But I want to make it fun for everybody, and I want them to really dig down. I'm not just going to give them away; they're going to earn the two. So the pair or the couple.
Them why they deserve the tickets?
Yeah.
And no lame answers. Like it has to be the most creative thing that they've ever come up with to get those tickets from you. I mean, that's what I would do if I was you.
Absolutely,
and expose them on your show if they do the lame because it's my sister's birthday and I want my sister to go with me. She really likes boxing. Like that's the person that you need to just make fun of and not stop for 10 minutes. Like that's what you can't have to win the contest. You need that person that just gives you the most creative reason why. Like they just got out of prison and their ex-baby's mama with one of the fighters, and he just wants to go so he can see the fight, and because he really likes that new fighter, but it's his baby's mom too, so he wants to see her. Like you need something so stupid like that to win.
I agree with you, and also show proof that you subscribe to the Fighter's Voice YouTube channel, man. We got to get those subscribers up. So I will use it to warrant, where it works out for everybody, and and then we'll hear from the winner. We'll have them post a picture, and we'll do all the above because that's what it's all about, man. Giving back, and for them to earn it, we're gonna give back that way, and we'll put them on the platform for about maybe 5 or 6, 7 seconds, and they can say something.
Major boxer I can even imagine on your show. It's crazy. Like you've literally had everybody. I mean, that's definitely something to be proud of from where you started this thing. You've had every single friggin' person you can imagine on there. So your grind is definitely paying off. But you're gonna have to do something no matter what it is for about 10 years before it just pops off. It sounds stupid, but it's
no, I mean.
But as soon as you get to that tenure, you you start to see a magical door open. Me included. Just once you put that time in, the doors just start opening.
Well, yeah, I agree, and we'll just continue doing what we're doing, and I say to myself when I have a certain guest on there, I don't want to take a back step. I want to continue to have those type of guests on there and continue to push forward, and I reflect on it just like these Fresno, and I'm going to say this. These Fresno fighters had full access to Dr. Charles Tremblay and did not cash in when they had him in their backyard. And now he's at the world-class level, And should have, would have, and could have doesn't amount to anything. It's that opportunity, man. And look what he's doing now.
It's the truth. Look, there's guys from Fresno that I really wanted to manage, and I'm not going to say their names, that I didn't get the chance to. And it's the same thing. It's like you have no idea what I would have done for you, how much I actually care, and what I would have achieved. And they all made the wrong decisions, and they paid for it. And I'm not going to say the names, but they paid for those stupid decisions that they made. But that is the truth. To have this kind of set up in your backyard and not use it, or,
utilize it.
Understand it. You've lost before you've even started.
Exactly. And I agree with you. Well, Rick, I got to get you on, man. One day I got to get you in studio. I don't know. I know you don't operate that way because you're always on the go, but we got to get you in here some way, somehow.
Yeah, it's just I am constantly on the go now, so it's harder. But
well, shit, I'm gonna bring the studio to you, but I am gonna get you down here. If I gotta have you kidnapped or something, or one of those bears in your backyard. See, they're there. They're just scoping you out. Actually, Rick, they're working for me. Okay, let me confess right now. These animals that are in your backyard, they're working for the Fighter's Voice. They're working for me. They're gonna strap you up, tie you up, and put you in this chair right here, and put a microphone in your mouth, and then you'll be a live guest.
Hey, those bears are big ass bears. They're no joke. I'm telling you, they're not little. These are big bears, dude.
Well, listen. Maybe the next promotion is the circus in your backyard. Can you see that happening?
I definitely could charge people to sit up here and see what comes up. Don't think I haven't thought about it.
Oh, shit. On what's gonna pop up next on the camera, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there will be something show up. I mean, there's no question.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with you. I think you're going to get, the Yeti, the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, and I'm going to be.
That thing is definitely out here behind me.
Hey, do you hear any howling at night or anything different being out there in your new location?
There's coyotes and wolves.
I ain't talking about coyotes and wolves. I'm talking about stuff you don't recognize.
No, I didn't recognize anything.
No, you recognize everything. Is there something that you don't recognize?
There's one little possum-looking animal that I haven't quite figured out yet, but that's about it. I've even had a skunk pop in, like just wild, crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's the whole
Little
life.
Cats, I've seen a cat that definitely mated with some kind of wolf or mountain lion or something up here. Maybe that's what that little creature is, but I'm certain that there's house cats that have mated with something wild and created this little weird, version of itself out here.
Well, what makes you think it's crossed with a cat?
The cat look, the tail and the face, but it's just far bigger. I mean, it's not as big as a mountain lion, but it's definitely bigger than a cat, and it's got weird teeth. I'm telling you.
Okay, man. I mean, hey, we'll capture that. Sell some tickets and get you connected to the Animal Planet, and that's the next event.
Absolutely. You might see a fight up here in the wilderness. You never know.
Well, you never know, man. Well, Rick, it's always a pleasure, man. I mean, you for giving us the time, and you're always entertaining, man, at that. And I kept digging towards the end because I want to pull out a little bit of you, a little bit of you that people don't know. Maybe those close to you know, or those may change their opinion about you. And I know you really don't care whether they do or not, just as long as they buy a ticket and smile and last the whole while. That's the business of the sport, and that continues to drive you and push you forward because if you stopped at every time someone said no or didn't believe in you, because we've talked about this before, that's why I asked you, how many times did people tell you no during this event and where you are today?
Yep. I appreciate it. So I'll see you on fight week and get ready for some new information to get dropped next week, and we'll go from there. Okay, well, I'm going to try to figure that out. It's from California. You couldn't tell me the weight. You couldn't tell me too much going on. This person had an opportunity, didn't cash in on, and this person wasn't promoted or managed right.
So they used to be with somebody. It's a decent name. We're gonna be surprised. So I'm already putting it together.
Better than a decent name.
Yeah, well, does this person have a nickname?
Nope, you ain't getting it.
Is this person look like me? Is he a Mexican American, or does he look like you? Did you know
Mexican?
he is Mexican?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Wow, in California, a Mexican? Wow, I'm surprised. Rick, did you know the first time I saw you, I thought you were African American?
I'm sure you did. First I've been Puerto Rican.
You do look Puerto Rican.
Mexican sometimes. Like it's just I've got it all.
And you do look like Danny Swift Garcia. I know you've been told that before.
I need Danny Swift Garcia's bank account. That's what I need.
Well, yeah, and Crazy Angel too, the Birdman.
Yeah, he's a colorful character. I've met him once.
Yeah, they're pretty down to earth. I would love to have the Birdman on the podcast. I'm working on Teofimo's dad. I just can't get the right time because, of course, until after the fight's over. But that'd be entertaining. And once that happens, because you put out a challenge list for me one time, and
his dad is definitely a colorful boxing personality, and just one of those guys in the sport that you look forward to seeing during fight week and seeing what he says next or how passionate he is about his son. Like he's great for the sport.
Absolutely,
without question.
Well, that's a great combination there. Well, Rick, those that don't know how to follow you, how do we follow you, man? How do we stay in tune with you?
Instagram, just @promoter559. That simple. @promoter559. On Twitter, it's @RGMpromo. Not as active on there, but I do get on there and go to war with people once in a while. But primarily Instagram.
Hey, man, wish you the best. We're looking forward to October 16th. Wish us well. We're going to head up to Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy next Wednesday. Credentials came in. I'll be covering the Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury trilogy. I'm excited about that. And bring back some content for the Fighter's Voice, for Rick Mirigian, and all the followers and supporters of the Fighter's Voice. And those of you who haven't subscribed, please subscribe at www.youtube.com/The Fighter's Voice. And remember, every fighter has a voice, and so do you, and so does our guest, Mr. Rick Mirigian. Once again, thank you. And as always, it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
All right, take care, you guys.
Take care.
Let's go.
Because a lot of changes.